Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our online class today. As you can see, today we are talking about art. Now, there are many different kinds of art. Of course, there's paintings, right? Paintings are art, sculptures are art, and even movies and video games are art. Now there are so many, of course, you have to ask, what is your favorite piece of art? What is your favorite kind of art? Today, we are just going to be focusing on paintings and on drawings. Just those today. Maybe in another lesson, we can talk about maybe some movies or some interesting video games. Today, just paintings and drawings. Now, if we remember, I'm sure you all know this, but if art is made with a pencil, it is a drawing, and when art is made with a paintbrush, it is a painting. So here we have a very nice drawing, and then of course we have some other paintings like Van Gogh here. So let's get into it. Let's learn about some art. I know many of you, I've seen you draw, and I've seen the way you decorate some posters or you draw on the whiteboard, and we have some very talented artists at the school. So I thought it would be great if you could all express your talent and be able to talk about your skills as an artist in English. And that is what we are going to try to learn today, how to talk about our art skills and the different parts of art in English. So let's get into it. First, there are different types of paintings or types of drawings, right? They can be paintings if it's a paintbrush or drawings if it's a pencil. So first here we have the landscape, right? Landscapes are anything to do with nature. If you draw a mountain or you paint a tree or a painting of the ocean, anything to do with nature, it is usually this landscape right here. Now next, paintings of people. If you paint or you draw a person, we would call that a portrait, okay? A portrait. Now, a self-portrait is when you paint yourself or when you draw yourself. It is a portrait of yourself, so it is a self-portrait. A self-portrait. And if it is any person, it is just a portrait. We call it a portrait. Paintings of people, portrait. Next, we have this one, still life. If you are not drawing nature, if you are not drawing people, you probably are drawing still life. This is really everything else. Ordinary objects. You see here some food and a cup. Any object can be painted as a still life, right? Your water bottle, your phone, your glasses, your house, your video games, your TV. You could draw that, you could paint that, and it would be a still life. So still life is just anything that is not a person and not nature. It is still life. And if we come here to the last painting, it's a little crazy looking, a little weird. We call this abstract. Abstract. So abstract, as you can see, It's just very strange, very random. It does not look like it is a painting of anything, right? There's not really anything being painted here. It's just some random colors, right? So that is abstract. Remember, we have still life, which is just objects, maybe around your house or in school. We have a portrait, which is a painting of a person, and a self-portrait is a painting of yourself. And we have landscape, which is just nature. Landscape is nature. So these are the types of paintings. Now we are going to talk about ways to describe these paintings. So maybe. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. So some important art terms. The first important art term is the subject, right? The subject is what is being painted. What are you painting? That is obviously very, very important. Sometimes there is no subject. We will get to that. But the subject, usually what is being painted? What are you painting? We see down here in these pictures, the subjects are a dog and a macaroon. So here's the dog and a macaroon. So that is the subject of this painting. And this painting, the subject is Vincent van Gogh. So the dog and the macaroon and Vincent van Gogh, those are the subjects. Now, if we look at this painting, in this abstract painting, there is no subject, right? It is not a painting of anything. There is no subject. We look here. Sorry. If we look here, the subject is the dog, and the subject is Vincent van Gogh. But here, nothing is being painted. It is abstract, so there is no subject. There is nothing that is being painted. Okay, so we have subject, what is being painted. Next, we have mood. This word mood is the emotion or the feeling of the picture. Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you sad? Does it make you angry? What is the mood, the emotion or feeling? Now, certain colors are associated, this word associated, certain colors are associated with different emotions. For example, blue is usually associated with sadness, right? In English, we say, I am feeling blue, which means I am sad. Red is associated with anger. If you get angry, maybe you turn red, right? Red is associated with anger. Red is the color of blood, right? And last, green is associated with nature. So the leaves are green, grass is green, nature is very green, so the color green is associated with nature. If we look here, this person looks angry because they are red. He has, a normal looking face, I think, but then because his face and his body is red, it makes him seem angry, like he's very, very upset at something. And if you look up here, what is that coming out of his head? Is that fire coming from his head? It looks like maybe there is an explosion or fire coming from his head, so it looks quite cool, quite interesting. But yes, he looks very angry, and we know that because the color red. Next. Oof. Okay. My computer is struggling. Okay. This man's posture, right? As well as the color blue make him appear sad. So we see the man is looking down at the ground. He's hunched over. And this color blue shows that he's probably quite sad. He's not happy. And of course he has this guitar, so maybe he's playing a ballad or love song, right? Maybe his girlfriend broke up with him, and now he's very sad, and he's playing a love song or playing a ballad about his girlfriend. Who knows? But this color blue makes him appear sad. So if you want your painting to look more sad, add some blue. So again, mood is the emotion or the feeling of the painting. So let's move on. Let's keep going here to the next art term. Here we go. Okay. So next up, we have colors. How do you talk about certain colors? Well, you can call them complementary or contrasting colors. Now, if two colors look nice together, they are complementary. If they don't look nice together, they contrast each other. If you come over here, this is a color wheel. So these colors like blue and violet, these are complementary. They are close to each other on the color wheel. They look very similar. Blue is very similar to violet, so they are complementary. Now, if you chose a color like red and a color like green, they do not look alike. They are opposites. They are not similar. So we say they contrast each other. They contrast each other. Red and green, they contrast each other. They are not similar. They are contrasting, right? So we see yellow and orange are very similar. Violet and blue are similar, blue and green. So if colors are close to each other on this color wheel, they are complementary. If colors are far away from each other or not close to each other, they contrast. So if we look at Starry Night, right, Van Gogh's very famous Starry Night, in Starry Night, the yellow stars and moon contrast with the blue sky and the black hills. So we see the moon shining here. It's very bright. It's very yellow. And we'd say that contrasts against the dark blue sky, and it really contrasts against this black hill or black mountain. And because of this contrast, the stars and moon, they stand out or pop more. We see the yellow moon much easier because of this blue sky it is on. So these contrasting colors help stuff pop, helps us see things in paintings more easily. So knowing a little bit about colors, it can help your paintings stand out much more. It can help stuff pop in a really good way. So remember, complementary, two colors are similar. Contrast, two colors are not similar. They are not similar. Okay. So let's continue. The next art term is lighting. Okay, our next art term is going to be lighting, how the light affects the painting, right? More lights and more shadows can change how realistic a picture looks. So if you want to draw a very realistic landscape painting, maybe you want to draw a mountain, you want it to look very realistic, you have to be sure to include all the different shadows and the light. Like in this painting, here we see the sun is casting a shadow, right? Here's the shadow the sun is casting. The length of the shadow tells us that the sun is probably rising or setting. So this shadow, it seems kind of long. It seems rather long, so we know the sun is near the horizon, so the sun is either setting, it's like evening, or maybe the sun is rising, it is the very early morning. I like to think that the sun is rising, and it's a beautiful early morning when this was painted. That seems quite nice to me. So this is all lighting. And of course the shadow here makes it look much more real. Like, makes it more realistic. The lighting here, the shadow, makes it more realistic. So next, we have this guy. He looks, kind of creepy. He's a little scary. I'm a little scared of him. I'm a bit scared. So we see in this picture, the light is coming from above. We see the light is hitting his forehead like this, casting a shadow on his face. So the light is coming here, and there is a shadow right about here. This makes him appear more scary. So because there's a shadow on his face is darker, which makes him kind of more scary looking, more intimidating, right? If there was no light, if there was no shadow, and you could see his normal face, he would not be as scary. So lighting can be important to make things more realistic. Lighting can also make things look more happy, or more scary, or more sad. If you want something to look happy, you want it to be very bright, no shadows. If you want something like this to be scary or sad, you would use more shadows. And this is actually somebody we talked about in a previous lesson. We talked about him in our Halloween lesson. So can anyone remember his name? If you can remember his name, leave me a comment on the video and let me know what you think his name is, right? It's a very scary Halloween character. And he looks scary because the lighting, right? The lighting gives us this shadow and makes him scary. Okay, so that was lighting, and let's move on. Maybe. Okay, Okay, wait, I'm sorry guys. My computer it's struggling. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're almost there, I promise. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, sorry about that. My computer is very old. One day I will have to buy a new one. But anyway, let's get back to the important art terms. Our last important art term is scale, right? Scale. The size of different things in the painting. Making something bigger can make it more important. Like in this picture, right? In this picture, the size of the cherry and spoon, tells us they are what we should focus on, while the buildings in the background are less important. You see some buildings here, but they're very small. The scale of the buildings is very small. The scale of the cherry and spoon is very big. So that is what we should pay attention to. And I think all that's missing is a big ice cream sundae, right? That'd be perfect. It'd be very delicious. We have a big cherry, we have a big spoon, so if we could get a big ice cream sundae, that would just be so, so delicious, I think. But yes, so scale is the size of different things, right? If you want something to be important, you can make it very big, right? So scale, the size. So those were some art terms. We had scale right here, which is the size of different things. We had lighting, which is how light and shadows affect your painting. We had color, remember, complementary, contrasting colors. And we had the subject, the most important part of a painting or drawing. The subject is what is being painted. So now that we have talked about some different art terms, let's talk for a minute about style, right? Different art styles. Of course, there are many art styles. I am going to focus on just 4 here. They're the 4 very popular styles in Western art. In Europe, in America, these 4 are very popular. We have realism, we have impressionism. This is Van Gogh, right? Van Gogh was impressionism. We have modernism. This is a Picasso painting, right? So modernism. And we have pop art. So let's take a look at these 4 and discuss them a little bit. Let's begin with realism. So here we see some realist paintings, some realism paintings. Okay, so we see, oh goodness. Okay, there we go. So we see in realism, these paintings try to copy real life as much as possible. So these paintings want to look like a photograph, or they want to look very realistic. The artist creates an accurate representation of the subjects, paying close attention to color, lighting, and scale. So again, the artist wants to paint everything as it is in real life, like a photo almost. So they want to be very accurate, very precise. And realism often painted ordinary working class people. So we see here some workers, some people at a diner, just very normal, ordinary people, maybe farmers or cashiers, right, or construction workers, very normal people. They wanted to paint them in a very accurate way, make them look like photos. And some famous painters of realism are Manet, Millet, and Hopper. This one right here is Hopper, and I think this painting is Manet. So these are some famous realist artists. Let's move on to Impressionism. So, as I said, Van Gogh is a painter of Impressionism. Monet is a painter of Impressionism. And Cézanne is a painter of Impressionism. These are all famous painters of Impressionism. And so what is Impressionism? Well, Impressionist paintings can seem rough or unfinished. We see in this painting up here, this apple, it almost looks like it needs to be painted a little more. There are all these dots here. It doesn't quite look done, but it is. It is finished. That's how Impressionist paintings work. A little unfinished, like more should be painted. Usually, paintings are of ordinary things or scenes of nature. So realism, we saw that often they paint people, but Impressionism often paints nature or these still life. Remember, nature is landscape, and this is a still life. So just normal things, just normal ordinary things in your house or at school, or, of nature, a pretty mountain or forest. And Impressionism focuses on how light affects the subjects. Lighting is very important for Impressionism. If you look at this apple, over here it is very dark, over here it is very light. So there's obviously some light coming in, making this lighter, making this darker. If we look at this painting, the sun here is making this area lighter. So lighting is very, very important for Impressionism, right? It is very important. And it is not as accurate as realism, right? This is not what an apple looks like. This is not a photograph of an apple. However, it is meant to convey an emotion or a feeling. Like this, for me, this painting is if I got up really, really early and I walked to the ocean, I got to see the ocean in the morning. This is the feeling this painting gives me. It is the emotion, I would say, is very happy or excited. So it is not accurate, it is not realistic all the time, but it conveys an emotion or a feeling. Impressionism. Let's move on. So our next one here, we are going to talk about modernism. Modernism. So we all know Picasso. He is a very famous modernist painter. There's also Matisse and O'Keeffe. I think Picasso is the most famous one though. This is a Picasso. This is also a Picasso. So they look very strange. They're very odd looking. Art that does not look like realism or Impressionism, right? It is very, very different from either realism or Impressionism. Very different. It is very abstract, okay? If you look at this painting, it is difficult to tell what the painting is at first. However, we can see here a guitar, a horn, some music. So it maybe is of some musicians, however it is difficult to tell. So it is very abstract. So modernism was very popular in the 1900s. They wanted to create a new art style for the modern world of the 1900s. So in the 1900s, the world was changing a lot. So artists like Picasso, they wanted to create art that was also changing a lot. So we have these very abstract, very different, very strange paintings that come from modernism. So if you see an odd or strange painting, it's probably a modernist painting. Okay, so let's get to the last style we have here. If it will load. Okay, there we go. It is pop art, right? Pop art. So it is art based on popular culture and commercial products, right? Commercial products, that just means something you can buy in a store. Food, toys, electronics, anything you can buy in a store is a commercial product. So here we have soup, right? Just paintings of soup. So art based on pop culture. Here's Marilyn Monroe. She's a very famous pop star in the 1960s. So popular culture, commercial products. So these subjects include celebrities, right? Marilyn Monroe, a very famous celebrity, movies, magazines, and food products. Again, commercial products, food products, like we see here. They use bold colors and sometimes look like a cartoon or animation. So we see all the colors here. They're very bold. They stand out. They pop, which is why it's called pop art. The colors pop, right? They do not blend. They're very distinct, very bold, very different. And some famous painters here are Warhol. Warhol, I think, is the most famous pop artist. He painted these, he painted these. Another one is Keith Haring. Keith Haring did these kinds of paintings. I've seen these a lot in Korea. So Keith Haring made these kinds of cute, simple, cartoony people. They all look very, very happy. And there's also Wesselman. I don't know Wesselman, but he is another famous pop artist painter. So, class, today we looked at some different styles of paintings, like pop art, like modernism, like impressionism, and realism. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to go look those up yourself. It's very interesting, some of the paintings. We also talked about art terms like the subject, what is being painted, the colors, are they similar and complementary, are the colors different and contrasting. We talked about lighting, the way the sun and light and shadows affects the painting. And we talked about scale, which is just the how big things are, right? Scale, how big something is. And of course, there are portraits, which are paintings or drawings of people. There are landscapes, which are pictures of nature. There are still lifes, which are pictures of ordinary things in your house or wherever. And there are abstract, which are paintings that have no subject. They are just random colors. So, with all this in mind, I have a quick, fun little assignment for you. To be a Picasso, be a Van Gogh, whatever artist you like most, Picasso, Van Gogh, Warhol, whoever, be an artist. So, it's a rather simple assignment, but just choose something to paint or choose something to draw. Make a picture, right? Make some art. It can be anything you want. You can make a portrait, you can draw your pet or your computer, anything you want. Just make a drawing. Choose a style you want to paint your portrait in. Do you want a realist style or a pop art style? What do you want your picture to look like? What style does it have? And then just write a 3 to 5 sentences describing your picture, right? Just give me a few sentences talking about your picture. Be sure to use some of the art terms discussed in this lesson. So when you are talking about your picture, just tell me what the mood is, what colors you use, just some of the art terms. And then you can email me your picture and description on Band, right? So you can use Band to send me your picture and description, or you can message me on this YouTube channel, or leave the picture and description as a comment on this video. Whatever is easiest for you. I am very excited to see all of your drawings and all of your paintings. I know we have some very, very good, talented artists who go to this school, so I'm really looking forward to seeing some of your paintings and to reading your descriptions. So that is our class for this week. I hope you all learned a little something about art. I hope you all learned a little something about art, and I hope you all enjoy drawing your pictures. So goodbye, class, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye, onekiwahi.